Geodive again, Harja. Today I want to talk to y'all about possessive pronouns, which hopefully will be informative and super fun. And if I sound a little bit strange, it's because I've got a cold. First of all, what are possessive pronouns? My, your, y'all's, our, his, her, their. What are they in Irish? Mo, do, were, are, I'm going to be using two different words a lot, and those are babug and ool. Babug means doll, and ool means apple. And I chose those basically at random, but also with a purpose because they will help to demonstrate some of the concepts here that I want to show. Okay, so here we go. So we got my, which is mo. Let's say we're saying my doll. Mo wabug. It undergoes lenition. We add an H and it's mo wabug. Okay, what if we say my apple? Well, apple, ool, starts with a vowel. So there's a bit of a difference here. We just say mool. Because it can be weird to say like mo-ool. Just, it flows better if you say mool. We'll get into the plural form in a second, like if you're possessing a plural thing, but I want that to be a little bit separate because I have to go into a bit more detail about that. Your is do. Do wabug. Your doll. Your apple is dul. That's very similar to this. Y'all's is were. Were mabug. Here, this undergoes eclipses. I told you it was important to learn lenition and eclipses, so I'm just saying it again. What about y'all's apple? Well, it'd be were null. Were null. You just add an N dash ooh. Our is our. I like that it sounds kind of similar to our, like how you say it in everyday speech, just like our. Now, our doll, our mabug. Just like y'all's doll, it also undergoes eclipses. And our apple is our null. It's the same pattern as y'all's. Before I get into this, I will say, because you're going to notice it right off, is that his, her, and their are all the same word. Well, if it's all the same word, then how can we tell the difference when we're speaking? Well, there's a really easy way, and I'll show you right now. So, his. His doll is a wabug. Well, what did we do to the word babug? We added an H, and we put it through lenition. Her doll is a babug. The difference is we do not lenite this. So, wabug, babug. We can tell the difference easily between his and her now. With their, also the word it's a mabug. Their doll. This undergoes eclipses. For words starting in a vowel, the masculine, his, it's a ool. You don't do anything to this word. For her apple, it's a who. You add an H to the word. Now, that can be kind of tricky, at least it was for me at first, because it kind of seems like two opposite things, because in this example, you add an H, and in this example, you leave off an H. In her, you leave off the H for a word starting with a consonant, and you add an H for a word starting in a vowel. And so that kind of seems like two opposites, and that has actually helped me remember it. But we also want to keep in mind that it's not really opposites, because adding an H to this word is not true lenition, because lenition requires a word to start with a consonant. Alright, for there, for a word starting in a vowel, it's a null. Same with y'all's and our. Null, null, null. If you remember, I talked before in a couple of other videos about how there are certain letters in the Irish alphabet that never undergo lenition or eclipses. So that makes you think, like, what if the word being possessed starts with one of those letters? Because we rely so heavily on distinguishing if it's his, her, or their based on whether it's left alone, lenited, or eclipsed. If you remember from earlier videos, I told you that L, N, and R can never be lenited. But back then, I said lenited. The concept is lenition, but it is lenited. You lenite something. So I'm just saying, if you knew that it was lenited and not lenited, and you heard me say that and were like super annoyed, I don't blame you. I'm sorry. Loud. Also, you may remember that L, N, R, M, and S cannot be eclipsed. On the eclipses video, I had explained that sometimes S can undergo an eclipsis-like thing where you add a T before it. And it acts a lot like eclipsis, but it is not true eclipsis, and you never, never, never apply that in situations where you apply true eclipsis. So that's important to know. But I had said L, N, and R cannot be eclipsed in that video. In the next video, I think about like ordering at the restaurant, I had clarified because I had forgotten a letter, and I said L, N, R, and M cannot be eclipsed, which is true. But I forgot to restate S in that latest list I gave you. So this is the final list of things that cannot be eclipsed, and I promise this is it. So L, N, R, M, and S cannot ever be eclipsed. Let's move on. So, if the case is that this noun does start with one of those tricky letters, for example, the word for book is lower. It starts with an L. L cannot be lenited and it can't be eclipsed. So, how can we tell if we're talking about his book, her book, or their book? Well, the truth is, in this case, you can't tell. You just have to kind of go by context, and I'm sure probably in most situations it'll be obvious to semi-obvious or something. Sometimes we can use some deductive reasoning. For example, if the word starts with M. Let's say we're talking about his, her, or their mother, maher. Well, his mother would be a waher. M can be lenited. Her mother would be a maher, because you don't lenite it when you're talking about female possession. Their mother would be a maher. In this case, that's identical to her mother, because M cannot be eclipsed. So now it comes down to we're either talking about her mother or their mother, but at least we ruled out that they're talking about his mother. Now I want us to talk about how you state that you're possessing a noun in the plural. Well, there's a little word that we need to learn first, and that is could. What does it mean? It means share. Not to share, like verb, but like my share or my portion, or someone's portion or share. When we're talking about plurals, we're literally using this formula. Could, share or portion, plus something called the genitive plural of a noun will equal share of that noun. Okay, first let's talk very, very briefly about what the genitive is. Genitive is a case, a form of a noun that is sort of like a shadow of its true self, or like a weaker, lesser version of itself, you might say, depending on how you look at it. A lot of people interpret the genitive as meaning of something, even though it does not include the word of. But the genitive can be used in different ways throughout Irish, and I'm still learning like all the ways you need to apply it and stuff. But we're not going to get too much into that right now. Let's not think about it. Well, how do you know what the genitive version of a noun is? Well, there are patterns that are called declensions, in Irish that nouns undergo, where you can easily, or so I'm told, easily predict what the genitive will be. There's singular, genitive singular, plural, and genitive plural. And that is a declension, and that can vary depending on what the word is. But for now, and one thing I rely on is an app called the Faulkner app, faulkner.ie app, and it's completely free, and I love it, and it's really easy to use. Right, but there are some specific situations where we need to know when to and when not to use could, to express possessing a plural noun. So I have some general rules here to follow. The first one is when you do want to use could. Most countable items in the plural, just like doll. You can count dolls. They are individuals. They can be like separated. You can say like a number of them that you have. A second situation when you do want to use could is singular nouns that suggest a plurality. For example, hair. It would be mo huj gruaga. We do the same thing in English, like hair technically is a singular noun. The plural noun is hairs, but we don't say like, my hairs are brown. No, we say, my hair is brown. Well, same thing with things that are kind of like uncountable, like they are a substance perhaps, like milk, also water. You would use could with that. Ma huj banya. Also, languages like Irish, like my Irish is improving. So my Irish would be ma huj Gaeilge. Now, when are some times that you should not use could? Well, a couple of general rules are don't use it with things that are inherently owned, such as body parts, with the exception of teeth, which I'll get to in a second. Body parts, like hands. Lawa, you wouldn't say my share of hands, because there's not some like communal stockpile of hands and like everyone gets some. No, they're my hands, they are mine. Can't take them away. The exception to this rule would be teeth. I don't truly get it, but you would use could for teeth being possessed. The only explanation for that I could find anywhere was one person put it like, well, teeth are technically a part of your body, but they can be lost. Like your teeth can fall out or broken off or something, but not as easily as like you could lose a hand or something. So that's all I got right now. Another case when you would not want to use could is for family members. So those are some basic rules about when to and when not to use could. Alright, with that, now that we know about that, we can get more into actually like how to do this. So, my dolls. Mo huj babak. Well, if you'll remember, could means share, and babag here is the genitive plural of dolls, which happens to be, in this case, identical to the nominative singular. But the thing you're actually possessing here is the share. It's my share, and of dolls is kind of like more like a descriptor. So we need to make the thing we're actually possessing, share, undergo the lenition we talked about earlier. So it's mo huj babag. Through all of these, the noun that we're thinking of it being possessed is not changed. Could is. That goes through all the same different forms. So let me just go through it with you. Mo huj babag, my dolls, my share of dolls. Da huj babag, your share of dolls. Were guj babag, y'all's share of dolls. And you can see it's still following the same pattern here because you're adding eclipses as here, where you added eclipses. Our dolls, Our good babig. Our share of dolls. A huj babig. His share of dolls. His dolls. A good babig. Her dolls. A good babig. Their dolls. Anyway, I hope this was really helpful, and I know it was to me just doing the research for it. I learned a lot too. And I'll see you next time. Slán agah. Bye.